Hey.
What up, great people?
Hello.
It's your boy AD.
And your girl D Gang.
All right, so tonight we are live once again, as we do every Tuesday night at 10 p.m.
You know what
And
it is.
we are going to be discussing facts versus feelings.
Say that one more time for me, baby.
You want me to say it 5 times fast?
No, just
Facts versus feelings. Facts versus feelings. We are going to be discussing facts versus feelings tonight.
Facts versus
So,
feelings. Hey, Joey.
as I've said many a times, and you will hear me say it many times more, we are a real couple
Very real.
that deal with real circumstances and situations, and we are really married. And sometimes we really don't like each other.
And sometimes we really don't like each other.
So the picture perfect image of we don't go through this and we don't go through that, I feel like that is
not us.
I don't think that is realistic, but that is definitely not us.
Hey, Rita.
So we are going to take the time today to talk about some facts versus feelings from not only you guys' input, but our personal circumstances.
For sure. So where did this topic even come from, babe? You want to go into that a little bit, or?
Nah, I'm gonna let you ride.
All right, cool.
Jump in the driver's seat.
Listen. I'm all right with that tonight. That's cool. So, we do a lot of interacting with people throughout the course of the week. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not. But this past week has been amazing as far as our interactions with people.
Indeed.
And some of the gems and jewels that we've been able to pick up. So over the last week, we were having a conversation with a mutual friend, and it came about because that person is going through their own version of adversity. You know, everybody has their version of adversity, and this is that person's version of adversity. It's in the form of health issues. And we were having a discussion, and I asked, how do you feel? And their response was, I feel defeated. I feel like I want to quit.
The fact of the matter is, you have to be able to see the blessing in the circumstance.
Yeah.
When we in church and everything, we also talk about don't focus on the messenger, focus on the message. So in the midst of adversity, when you in your feelings,
I'm gonna talk about it now.
Try to dissect the facts from the feelings. Your feelings will always lead you to feel vulnerable, to feel as though there's not enough being done, or the production isn't happening quick enough. But the facts of the matter will give you just that little bit of boost, that little inertia to just say, you know what?
I can do this.
One more round.
Yeah, I can do this.
You know what I mean? And if you do that a few more times, before you know it, you've gone into a 12-bout battle.
Yeah.
And you will most definitely come out potentially the winner.
Yeah. So facts versus feelings is so important, because when you're talking about the structure of a relationship, and I'm sure as you guys have noticed, we go more into just the structure of a husband and wife relationship. We talk about the relationship that you have with your children, that you have with your parents, that you have with siblings. We talk about all of that. But when you're talking about that, when people do things that hurt you,
come on now,
right? You say, you hurt my feelings. And so your feelings are hurt. And when you're trying to discuss what it is that happened, you end up focusing more on how you feel about what happened versus what actually took place.
Right. The feelings aspect is oftentimes what we fall victim to. So women are internal.
Very much so.
And you guys will harbor and hold on to a lot of your feelings and emotions, as to where men oftentimes, because we are external, that's why we use the terminology, I wear my emotions on my sleeves.
Yeah.
So you get this, and we tell you how we feel. Sometimes it may come off in one way or another. Sometimes it's more acceptable than other times. And with those feelings in the mix of things,
Talk about it.
oh man, stuff gets quite rocky.
Correct.
If you're anything like me, I'm quite a passionate individual. I'm a Sagittarius, hey, so I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, and how you take it, hey, that's
your business.
between you and the powers that may be. But
that's on you.
But so I'm gonna spit the facts, and if it hurts your feelings, that's gonna be your business.
Yeah.
However, when it's something that is reciprocated,
yeah,
let's talk about feelings. Can I be honest with you for a second?
Talk
right?
About it, somebody.
Okay, can I be honest?
Please.
Right?
Do.
We will tell you about yourself, but we're not oftentimes prepared to professionally respect the opinions of others when it comes down to our feelings.
Yeah.
So I'm just speaking from my own.
Know that wits.
I'm speaking from my own. That's right. I'm gonna represent for us, but from my own standpoint and from some other Sagittarians that I have in my family, my mother, my father, and my baby sister are all Sagittarius.
And they're all nuts.
Mind your business. But
I love them all. Please don't.
We're apt to tell you how we feel, but oftentimes if you hurt our feelings, we will resort to being quite unprofessional.
I was going to say, you get a different version of them when they feel. And that's actually been one of the biggest things that he and I have kind of struggled back and forth with is I feel a certain way. And he didn't realize, but I felt a ways about some things for years.
A long time. Yeah.
Years.
Yes.
Years. And I held on to things for a long time and had so many emotions about it that I just kind of kept inside and bottled up. And he's like, I feel, and I'm like, I don't care nothing about how you feel. But he didn't realize that was because I was still dealing with my own feelings.
Right.
Hey, BJ.
Definitely.
Welcome.
So I have to speak on the matter of facts that when I came to the understanding of how I was making my wife feel, now oftentimes before I come out and I say a lot of different things in discussion or express them to her, I kind of have a rehearsal in my head. I kind of, express those things amongst myself.
Yeah.
And I got that from how I tell Q, my baby boy, when he gets emotional, I tell him, I'm like, listen, find you a private place, scream, yell, cry,
if you have to.
Do whatever it is that you feel you need necessary to get yourself in a better emotional state. Do what you have to do to get those feelings out. Don't harbor them. Go ahead, handle your business, and come back at it again. But make sure that you have your head on straight so that you can deal with what you need to appropriately. So for myself, I have a lot of sidebar conversations amongst myself, especially if I get to feeling a ways about something that my wife has done or something that she has not done. I would take the time to say, all right, bro, you know what I'm saying? Little sidebar. Let me holler at you right quick.
Come on,
because this ain't fine me, you know what I'm saying? But I can say that to me to get it out, so that when I do talk to her, I can use the right amount of passion and emphasize on the important things and not say things that are meaningless or offensive or even derogatory. Yeah,
same for me. I'm not the more outright emotional. But if you tap into that place, it's a whole nother person.
She want to pass licks. Mm-hmm. She'll pass some licks. Ask her mama. I done called her.
Don't involve that at this particular moment in time.
My mama and my sister and them. So,
but that's because they Sagittarius. That's all that was. But I love them. I mean,
said the Gemini.
So what?
Okay, come on, let's
Anyway,
Mhm.
back at it. When you tap into that place for me, as far as emotions go, I do find myself doing things or saying things that I would not normally if I were not in an emotional standpoint. I will say hurtful things, and it's not intentional. It's I get into this place where I then lack the control and the filter that I normally have once I get in my emotions. So I'll tell my husband, like, I can't have this conversation with you right now. I can't. This right here, what you trying to do? I understand. I can't do it.
Yeah, we're not gonna go that road. She would
Can't do
tell
it.
me many a times. When it comes to communication, we've come quite a long ways.
Yes.
And that's why we're able to try to sit down and record ourselves and get some topic discussions from you guys to be able to enable other people and encourage them in their relationships.
Yeah.
We have been through it. This is not a game. And for the people that do know us, they know some background about us.
Yeah.
They know that, I have been this particular character in my past, and she has consisted of some different things at a different phase in her life.
Yeah.
But however, because God kind of knows what he's doing when he puts people together.
Yeah.
We've been able to overcome so many different things, even our own adversities together.
Yes.
Because of our love for each other.
Yes.
So with the facts, it's always good to have the facts. It's always good to say, you know what? The fact of the matter is, I love you. I'm not going to leave you alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One major thing for me was the fact that even though she done took me through some stuff, I know that she's been good to me. And I didn't want to have to watch her be 1% or 3% as good to someone else as she was to me. So I made the decision that I was going to do what I needed to do and, get it together.
Hey, Ma.
So this young lady was able to give me an understanding that exceeded what it was, even my own expectations, because it was supposed to just been fun for me. I did not want a girlfriend.
He did not intend on taking this serious. I think y'all might hear him say this like every episode that we do this, because he was very, very sure of the fact. Hey, Claudia. He was very sure of the fact that he did not want to be in a relationship.
Period.
But one of the in fact, let me not tell a lie. The very first conversation that we had was about what?
It was about love.
It was about love.
And it was about relationships. So we put a lot of things on the table very early on. And there still was a lot that was not discussed.
Yeah.
So let's not.
Both ways.
Yeah, there was still a lot that was not discussed. I had a very in-depth conversation with my auntie today. My Aunt Nicole, who I love so dearly.
Hey, Auntie. Hey, Auntie.
Shout out to my Aunt Nicole.
That's the diva, baby.
We talked, and she really watered me in a essence of what it was that I was dealing with my emotions and my state of mind. Just because it's tiring, it's something that when you focus your energy on something and you become committed to it, you're gonna face adversity. These are facts. And the feelings behind those, sometimes you need a coach to be able to encourage you and keep you on the straight and narrow, or keep you focused on the goal.
The important stuff. That conversation that I was telling you guys about, where this individual was telling me how defeated they felt, I explained to that person.
You became the coach.
That wasn't my intent. I just was sharing what I now know. You know what I'm saying? But I know that your feelings have the capability to be your cancer.
Come on.
Your feelings have the potential, the capability, the ability to be, either your rise or your downfall. Feelings is most associated with fear when you're talking about people. And fear in the body, it's a scientific fact. You can look this up, that fear in the body changes and alters organs in your body. It can change your brain waves. It can change the way your heart beats, the way your organs work. This is scientific fact. And if you know that your feelings or negative feelings can get that kind of a response from the body, then you have to be very mindful of how you allow yourself to feel.
Come on.
I tell my husband all the time, like, I'm not feeding into that. I can't accept that. No, I don't want any of that, because I understand the importance of feeding yourself positive and putting out positive, because it alters everything in your body.
Good point. Very good point. Hey,
Alex.
Learned something a few years back. I was talking with a gentleman who was a mentor to me. And shout out to Jerry Ford, Deacon Jerry Ford. He told me years ago, you got to be mindful of what you feed yourself.
Come on now.
And it was because I was on Facebook, and I was on Facebook and I was sharing all type of different stuff. And I didn't see, I'm grown, so I didn't see it to be explicit things, but it was some women shaking rump and, some half naked things and what have you. And he said to me, he said, "Big bro, I had to unfollow you." And I said, "You had to unfollow me?" I'm like, "Well," I'm like, "Man, we together every day. What you mean? You unfollow me for?" You like, bro. He say, "Bro, you don't take your drunk friend to the bar for drinks."
Sure enough.
He say, and you show one and the same. You don't go to the crazy house and pick at folks in the window.
Sure enough.
And I was like, I had no idea
Elvis?
of the interpretation of what it was that I was doing. I was just putting something out there on Facebook, but he said to me, "It's your news feed, bro." Yeah. He said, "It's a reason why they call it your news feed. You feed yourself.
Energy is
what
everything.
You see. Energy is everything.
Energy is everything."
So as I'm posting these things, he then came to me in a very sidebar conversation, private conversation, and said, "Bro, I dealt with this, and I was, indulging and overly indulgent in
certain circumstances,
in certain situations." But I was watching pornography. I was dealing with that. And even though it's just small and minuscule, the feelings that I was giving him,
took him to a place
that he wasn't able to say that he was beyond just yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the facts of the matter was, he was so right. Because when I started transitioning and evolving as an individual,
you understood,
after being sexually abused as a child, physically abused as a child, verbally abused as a child, to see some of the things that I would share, or look and see some of the things that other people would share, and how it would leave me feeling, came time for me to go to bed. Man, I didn't want any parts of it. So as I matured and my energy changed, my ideology changed, and I realized I couldn't put out certain things because I would be responsible for how other people would be affected by it.
Correct. For me, yes, energy is everything. But I've also said to my husband and have had to reiterate that even to myself, that you are what you eat.
One and the same.
You are what you eat. So if you are eating unclean things, then that is what will come out.
Say that.
Okay. So I'm very mindful. I'll give an example. I'm very mindful of what I consist of, because I know my struggle. Nobody knows my struggle as well as I do.
Indeed.
Right. So I'm just going to have a very candid, transparent moment with you guys. A couple weeks ago, right, we were watching this show that we love to watch. We love to watch Shameless, right?
Yeah.
It's an absolutely horrible show. And when I say horrible, I mean it's absolutely hilarious.
I love Shameless. Shout out to the Shameless crew.
Shameless is an absolutely horrible show. It is complete adult comedy. Don't you ever, 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 ever turn the TV on in front of a child. Ever. Never. Not at any point. You can't even watch the opening of that show
It's
in
Frank.
front of
It's Frank. Don't blame everyone
No,
else. It's Frank.
It's the Gallaghers, the whole family. So we were watching the show a couple of weeks ago, and there was the this and the that and whatever. But one of the main characters in the show, she's now dating, someone else on the show. It's hilarious, Katie, right? Anyway, she's dating this guy on the show, and the guy introduces his brother. Okay. And his brother is just coming out of rehab. He's an alcoholic, or I think he's an alcoholic or a drug addict or something like that.
Okay.
But he comes out of rehab.
I didn't see this. I was asleep. So.
He does this all the time, but that's neither here nor there either. Anyway, the guy's coming out of rehab, and so he's introduced to the family around the same time that she's introduced to the family. And so I don't know, there was just this awkward thing between, the main character, her name is Fiona, and the brother. And in turn, it just got really wonky. And he had this moment with her on the subway. And he said to her, "You're an addict just like I am. You just don't know it yet." And it touched a part of me. And I was like, I don't want nothing else to do with this. You guys may not know this about me, and that's totally okay. But I am a fully recovered, by the grace of God, sex addict. And I have to be so mindful at all times of what I feed me. And so I went back to my husband with the facts, and I was like, "Babe, man, I'm watching this show and this is what happened, man. This is so crazy." And it
just really clicked in my head from what you were saying from previous conversations.
Yeah.
But continue, please.
I went to him with the facts, and I'm like, "Babe, I'm watching the show and this is what happened. I don't think I can watch it anymore."
I was like, man, I was like, okay, cool. Hey, listen, so come on, let's go here. I gotta go to the car wash, and I need to do such.
And that for him, that for him was such a minuscule moment.
Yeah.
But for me, that was a moment that I realized that I'm still in recovery.
Yeah, of course, every day. And I also can attest to that, because I've dealt with not only my sexual addiction, but I've also dealt with drug addiction. I dealt with some pretty hard substances. We was popping beans, and I experimented with smoking lace. And
what's that?
Put a little coke in your weed. I was trick daddy. Okay, you know what I mean? Okay. And I was very young when I was exposed to these things. A lot of young guys were victimized by older gentlemen that would give us these substances and then send us to hit licks. So the emotions that I had, where I was a vulnerable young man, I was looking for a father figure. I was looking for someone to show me a way out, and to give me every reason to want to change and evolve. However, the people that I was getting involved with were trying to get me everything, including jail time, but the outcome that I was looking for. Yeah. So
he was a battery pack.
I was a battery pack. I was a crash dummy, which means I hit balls for a living. Yeah. And I became quite the professional at it.
Yeah.
Because people knew that, they preyed on it. They took advantage of those opportunities, and many of times they would just kind of like get me going. And once I was going, who knows? I started experimenting with drugs, and I was probably about 13 or 14. Unbeknownst to me, someone had given me a lace joint. So this was the first time that I actually had smoked. And when I began smoking for myself, I was kind of chasing that same high, not knowing until I was about 15 or 16. And I was with my uncle, and I smelt it. It smelled different. So I asked him, I was like, let me hit it. And it tastes different. And because of that, I dealt with so many different other issues. My father was an addict. And although my mother had never smoked or drank in her life, young adults don't understand and don't identify with certain things. Oftentimes we start battling with demons that know us by name,
Yes.
because they are in existence
Way before
prior
we
to
are.
we come into existence.
Yes,
they
that's
are
the God's
generational
honest.
curses,
Yes.
and they are things that are in existence
Yes.
far beyond our years and even our understanding.
Yes. God's
So
honest.
the fact of the matter was, I began to wrestle with something that was capable of taking me out, and I had no idea, all because of the feelings that I was dealing with not having a father who was there.
Or the fact of the matter, really not dealing with the feelings of not having a father who was there.
Well, I was still very young, so I was still not really sure in as far as able to identify what type of character I wanted to be.
Correct.
But that's the importance of fathers. We are the first superheroes that our children will ever come into contact with.
Talk about it.
So if you have these broken relationships,
Yep.
which create these feelings and these emotions
Yep.
with the children, the fact of the matter is you deal with broken little people that become adults and have voids in their confidence,
Yeah.
and even expression, because their voices aren't heard. They're only
Yes.
children, or they are disregarded and looked at as the lesser.
Mhm.
You know, can I say that?
Or as a lot of us fall victim to, we look at them as, you're just a child.
You're just a child.
What do you know?
Exactly. And pardon me, it took a very long time for me as a young adult to deal with and be accountable for a lot of the actions that I did, not knowing the effect that they would have on me and the effect that they had on many others.
Correct. That's a learning curve. There are several adults that you deal with, I deal with, we come across, we shop in the grocery store with them, you know, we pick up food from the fast food restaurants from these same people who've not yet identified how to address their feelings.
And that's a fact.
And so one of the things that I try to make sure that I do, we're still evolving as a unit and we're learning things about each other. And I say to my husband that one of the gifts that God gave me is I can point things out in people without being malicious or it hurting them or insulting them. And I thank God for that, because there are some people who would not necessarily notice things about themselves without having the right kind of person to be able to say that.
Right.
And so I identify in a lot of people, in a lot of situations where it's like,
that ain't it.
That's ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. We identify it within our children.
Yes.
We have 6 children, and we are a blended family.
Mm-hmm.
And because she has 2 girls and 1 boy, and I have 2 boys and 1 girl, they have counterparts. So the other people that are involved,
we had counterparts making them. They ain't got no counterparts.
Due to the other people that are responsible for the creation of these children, we see so many different things in them.
Yep.
Sometimes at the worst time.
Yeah.
And it's like, there you go, acting like them people.
Yeah. I'll be honest though, I know even I've been able to identify parts of me in my children.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say to them, that ain't it.
And me as well. I see a lot of wonderful things, talents in my children. However, I also see the adverse effect of that. And knowing how ugly it can get, knowing what I was capable of, knowing what I was capable of without knowing what I was capable of, oftentimes it makes me so much more militant with them. That's why I be like, cut the BS, man.
Yeah,
Don't.
We're not doing it.
Wherever you act up, I'm gonna act up right with you.
Yeah.
And it's the tough love that I never got, but I'm always on them because in so many ways, there was no one that was willing to correct me in the midst of my mess when I was a child.
Mhm.
And as I became a young adult, all of those things created so many different feelings that I faced so many circumstances because there was never any correction.
Now that's how he feels about it. And I wasn't there, obviously, but I feel that the fact of the matter is someone tried to identify what these things were. They just weren't coming from the people that he wanted them to come from, or they were not in a fashion that he was willing to receive them at the time that they were being given.
At a very young age, potentially, but there was also a long time that after being around other family members, I was completely isolated and separated from everyone.
Why?
That's just the way that I was raised with my grandmother due to the circumstances with my grandmother. My grandmother was a registered nurse. She slept all day and worked all night. So I was at home
By yourself.
after she put my uncle out, who was responsible for a lot of the physical abuse that I went through. And as a child, it was just me. You know, it was me by my lonely. And even that created emotions because every other kid at least had a mom.
Yep.
Or they had a dad. Some children coming up in where there was a middle class, you had a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
You know, and I had neither. You know, I knew them, but mommy was somewhere else raising my brother. My father was anywhere else but involved consistently. Those feelings made me feel as if something was wrong with me, as if I wasn't capable or I wasn't good enough. So many different decisions were made because of the emotions. And now as an adult, I've had to take this journey of emotions to then identify everything at the root.
What my dad called it was the road of humility
and recovery. Because if it wasn't for me being able to say, hey, you know what, this wasn't my fault. Certain things aren't just in certain people. To have, you know, expectations will lead you to greater disappointments. So I took those things and I was able to actually identify for myself what type of individual I did not want to be as a father.
Yeah.
And even though my mother was there and became more consistently there as I became older, now she's my biggest cheerleader. She's one of my greatest supporters, and she's one of my biggest fans, and I'm also one of hers because I now understand and I'm able to identify in her some of her struggles and her shortcomings as a young adult, being a baby, having a baby, trying to raise a baby.
Yeah. For me, I now look back and can say or see where my obvious thought process and differences were as a child. I'll never forget my big brother. My brother's 5 years older than I am. And he swears up and down to this day that I was 5 years old. Five. I was five. I was 5 years old, and I told him that my sister had a different father from the rest of us. My father was a part of my sister's life from the time she was 2 years old. And she's 8, 9 years older than I am. So how the heck would I know? But apparently my thought process was higher than even I at my age then could understand. I understand the difference between facts and feelings. Um, my husband was 15 years old and he was still searching for his father to be a part of his life. I was 15 years old when I made a very conscious decision that I didn't even need it. I didn't need my father to be a part of my life because even though I felt, so much love and care and concern for him, not necessarily from him, but for him, I understood the facts of the matter was I was not as important to him as he was.
Okay.
So my feelings from very young were not capable of trumping facts, if that makes any sense.
Yes, absolutely. Do you feel that with Pop being gone now,
Mhm.
that, which is a fact, the feelings that you have because you were never able to really mend that and have him physically
Mhm.
back in your life, that you're still trying to heal from him being gone?
No, I don't feel any gaps between my father being gone. We were able to mend in conversation.
Mhm.
We were able to get beyond that place because he changed. And even though I had feelings from when I was 15, that's not the same way that I felt at 30. That wasn't the same person that I was dealing with at 30. So the fact of the matter was, he was a different person. So my feelings about him and about us as father and daughter changed. So I know that I got the most out of him the last few years of his life. There is no one that got more from him than I did.
I was having a conversation with Auntie earlier today, and she said to me, she said, you have to allow people to heal. And I said to her, we were speaking in regards to some people from my past. And I said to her, I said, I've forgiven them and I've forgiven myself for the role that I played in whatever it is that took place. And now I'm not going to allow them to continue to try to go backwards in conversation
Yes.
when we communicate. So she said to me, she said, though you may be beyond that place, give the respective person to allow them to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of disagree with that, only because I feel that when you are expressive to a person, certain conversations don't need to be revisited.
I'll say that now.
If I did you an injustice, I know I did you an injustice. And if that person who is an adult and even potentially a child has done you an injustice,
because they know,
they are aware that they've done you an injustice. So I don't feel that it's necessary to revisit certain conversations or even revisit certain relationships. I'll say that. However, to be clear on things, I don't feel like it's necessary, because I'm all the more reassured that regardless of how you feel about me or what it is that you have to say about me, it won't affect my quality of life. What I want for me, I'm willing to go and get. What I have, I'm grateful for, because it's nobody that other than myself, with my work ethic and the commitment and dedication that I put forth every day, nobody other than God that is giving it to me. So when you're able to make your feet match your mouth and you walk it like you talk it, people will identify things in you. But regardless of how they feel or they interpret it, you have to be able to hold your peace. So,
but what do you think is that peace? What gives you that peace when people are projecting how they feel on you?
the fact that I know who I am.
The facts.
The facts.
The facts is what is the peace when people are trying
Come on, let's talk
to
about it.
project how they feel about you onto you.
That's right.
And so that's why we talk about facts versus feelings. Now, my husband and I, listen, as lovey-dovey as we are, when we get at it, we get at it. And I just thought that I would say that there are often times where we go back and forth and he like, you could just turn around and go to sleep. But for me, I can find peace in the facts of the matter, and I don't have to get caught up in my feelings.
I got you. I look, and I'm gonna let you have that one. When you are capable of seeing things beyond your feelings and your emotions, you will experience a growth that it surpasses the understanding that you may have at that point in time. And that peace of mind is what it is the equivalent of. So I'm very, very mindful when someone disturbs my peace, because I'm either going to be all the way over here or I'm going to be all the way over there.
Ain't no
So,
in between, y'all.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Ain't no in between.
So you either going to get my vote or you going to get my absentee ballot. That's just the one. It's one or the other with the extreme.
Yeah.
And I've come to realize, because I'm okay with severing the lines with people in so many different ways from the way that I was raised, and spending so much time alone as a child, most times I don't share situations and feelings based on how I interpret them from other people's input. Now I'm coming along. Now I'm coming along. And growth, man. You know, you just have to get to a place within yourself where you don't let your feelings
get with me for a minute, y'all. You got to get to a point where you unfuckwittable.
You got to get to a place where you don't let your feelings take you out of your position, whether it be in the workplace, whether it be at home, whether it be in your relationship, your marriage, or even with baby daddy or whomever, baby mama.
Doesn't matter.
It does not matter. You have to become unfuckwittable.
You got to be unfuckwittable.
You have to get to a place where your feelings do not lead you as an individual. And that's what I was beginning to say.
Yeah.
So many times, because we get to feel in a ways, we react and respond, and it's costly. So if you know what you're dealing with, you deal with it accordingly.
End of discussion.
And the best way for you to get a better understanding of where you are is to look at yourself, analyze yourself, and check yourself before you wreck yourself.
And you got to be willing to accept constructive criticism from somebody.
No doubt.
You have to be willing to accept correction from somebody. You have to be open to someone. I know for myself, I search for someone who has no bias.
Definitely. People who will give you what it is that you need and not what you want. Those are the most essential people to you. People who are willing to correct you, even with the most amount of compassion. They love you from a genuine place that you may never understand, but trust and believe you will value for life.
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. We thank you guys so much for another wonderful Tuesday. We are going at this thing wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, now you know.
So check this out, guys. We have a new segment that will be coming your way. As a part of AD&D, listen, we really, really, really are looking to help people in any possible way that we can. Okay. So we have a new segment that's going to be coming up that will include some couples that have been together and have been through some things. So be on the lookout for that. We haven't really sifted through all the facts of that, what the details are going to be, but definitely stay tuned. We've got some couples with 20 years under their belt.
Yeah, they'll be giving us some testimonials and some understanding some tactics and different things that we can implicate, as well as you guys can take notes and put into your day-to-day deities when your relationship is up against the ropes.
And check this out. If you know of any couple that you think would be a great candidate to kind of talk on the AD&D platform about how to get past, over and beyond some of the struggles of a relationship, don't hesitate. Drop that info, reach out to us, give them our info, because we definitely want to continue making sure that this information is available to you guys, because we have people that we go to when we kind of don't see eye to eye. And it's all about getting all the information that you can to really be a better person.
That's right.
So we're definitely going to have, some interview-like formats. And again, if you know anyone, and we have no bias, guys. We have absolutely no bias. So if you know any couples that have been together for quite a bit of time who, you think would be great to step on the AD&D platform and provide some support, please let us know.
And if by chance you see us in one of these shirts, as you can see, I'm a Hope dealer.
Sell a Hope, not dope.
If you want any merch, just let me know, because we are back at it again.
Yeah.
Not only will EBD be providing us with most of our attire, but AD&D is doing something so that we can get just a little bit more exposure. We appreciate all love and support. If you're willing to be a Hope dealer, or if you are hopelessly in love,
talk about it. Because your girl is hopelessly in love.
We are hoping that you will contribute, support, grab some merchandise, wear it as a statement, wear it to put a little bit more exposure of us out there in the world. And as we always say, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you once more. So we're going to wrap it up for the night, man. Once again, Tuesday, 10 o'clock. Thank you for subscribing. Please, if you haven't, go like, share, and subscribe.
Mommy, where you popped up from? All right, y'all, gang, it's been real. Check us out next Tuesday night at 10 o'clock for Twice the Invites.
Facebook Live, YouTube. Peace.
And